Well, everyone, once again, thanks for joining us for our first ever RMHCK Town Hall. Really thank you for sharing some of your valuable time with us. It's an opportunity for us to share some updates on what's been going on down at the house since the COVID-19 pandemic hit and what's going to be coming up over the next few months at the house too. And first, just want to thank everybody for your support, whether you're a longtime donor or volunteer or someone who just wants to learn a little bit more about who we are and what we're doing. Thank you, and thanks for joining us today. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So the best way to view this town hall is in speaker view. And so at the top of your screen, you can click options. There's a view options with a drop down arrow. You can click that and go into, let's see, presenter view, I think is what we want here. Forgive me. Now, if you want to see everybody's faces, not just mine, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to see others too. You can go into gallery view. So a couple of other reminders. If you don't want to share your video, you can click stop video at the bottom left of your screen. We have muted everybody on the line just to minimize background noise. But you do have the opportunity to chat in questions. So at the bottom of your screen, there's an opportunity to click on chat. And if you have any questions as we go through our presentation today, you can chat them in and we'll answer as many as we can, time permitting, at the end. And before we proceed, I want to thank our staff for putting this together today. So if this presentation goes well today, all the credit goes to them. If we have challenges, it's all on me because they've done a terrific job in getting this ready. So I'm really grateful to our team at the house for putting this together. So with that, we'll go to the next slide. And so here you see a picture of the outside of the house, and then on the right side you see some signs that I imagine if you've been out and about, you've seen these signs on different businesses and restaurants and whatnot. And beginning in mid-March, like so many other businesses and organizations, we made some pretty drastic changes to our operations. So we stopped checking in new guest families at Ronald McDonald House in mid-March. At the time, we were serving 26 families in our newly expanded house. So we stopped checking in new guest families until very recently. I'll share more about what we're doing now a little later in the presentation. We also started having all of our non-essential, non-frontline staff members working from home, and that has continued until present day. So we've got most everybody working from home. We've got a very small number of people on staff and working at the house because we've continued to serve families throughout the house, but it's only the necessary very small number just to keep families served at the house. And then we also made the tough decision to suspend our volunteer program in mid-March. So we really hated doing this. Not only do we just love seeing our volunteers' faces every day at the house, but our volunteers do a lot. And our staff, our very small staff, has had to pick up so many of the things that volunteers do. So know that we miss you terribly, and we just can't wait to bring you back as soon as it's safe to do so. As we suspended our volunteer program, it also meant that our Adopt-A-Meal program was suspended. And that's one of our most popular volunteer programs, where volunteers prepare dinner and then brunch on the weekends to families staying at the house. So that's something that's been a real challenge for us. So one of our key goals as we went into this kind of lockdown mode in mid-March is we wanted to keep our families fed. We can go to the next slide. So that was really important to us. And we know our families truly appreciate the meals that they're provided. They're grateful for everything that we provide, the comfortable bed at night and so many other things, but they really count on the meals after a long day at the hospital. So that became a priority for us to continue our meal program, even though we had suspended our Adopt-A-Meal program. And so with the help of our donors who have given donations to help continue funding the program, and then also local restaurants and caterers who have either donated their services to us or from time to time we have had the funds to purchase meals at a discounted rate. So Three of those organizations we really want to highlight are Levy Restaurants, who've provided dinner numerous nights here during the last 3 months. McDonald's, of course, is our founding mission partner, and they help us in every imaginable way, including meals. And then Salsaritas, which is a local restaurant, and they provided meals multiple times for our families. So we're really grateful to our donors who've helped to fund the program, but also these restaurants and caterers who've kept our families fed. And I know our families are really grateful too. You know, another of our priorities has been keeping our families healthy and safe during COVID-19. And so, again, with the help from our community, we've been able to do that. I first want to highlight our friends at First Class Commercial Cleaning. They came in a couple of months ago and did this amazing, really detailed cleaning of the house inside and out. And you see in that middle picture there, a gentleman in a hazmat suit, and that really is how they came in. We had several guys come in hazmat suits and spray really specialized disinfectant inside and outside of the house. And so that's just one way, in addition to the daily measures we're taking to clean and disinfect the house. So we're grateful to our friends at First Class Commercial Cleaning. We also have followed guidelines to liberally use and make available hand sanitizer to our families and to our staff. And we've been very fortunate that some of the local distilleries who have amended their production to produce hand sanitizer have donated some hand sanitizer to us. So, and those include Boundary Oak Distillery and Barrel Spirits Distillery. So we're really thankful to them for that. You know, as we've continued down this path of COVID-19, it's also been really important that we keep our staff healthy and healthy at work. Here on the left side, you see Kim and Jana, two of our frontline staff members who've been real heroes throughout this. They've been two of the staff members who've been down at the house perhaps as much or more than any others during the last 3 months, working the front line, serving our families at the house. So we entered a protocol a while back to where we're asking not just staff members, but family members to wear masks inside of the house. And one of our concerns when we did that was procuring masks. Those were a challenge at first, but once again, our community has stepped up in really big ways, and we now have a supply of several hundred masks on hand for our families and for our staff and for our new families when they come in too. So we're just, again, really grateful. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without our community. So thanks to everybody who's stepped up. We've also, over the last 3 months, had several fundraising campaigns, giving campaigns, including Run for the Houses, Giving Tuesday Now, and Kentucky Gives Day. We've raised over $14,000 through these programs, and one I want to highlight that we actually had a lot of fun with was the Run for the Houses campaign. This was actually a partnership and collaboration with our friends at RMHC in Lexington, and we put together a challenge during the traditional Derby week, that first week in May, where we, over that time, put out a challenge to each other to see who could raise the most online gifts during that week. And Nate Graham, my counterpart in Lexington, and I put together a bit of a side bet. He, like me, has a beard, and so we decided that the loser of the challenge would paint his beard. So if Lexington lost, Nate would paint his beard red for U of L red. If we lost, I would paint mine blue for UK blue. Well, you can see on the right side, I indeed painted my beard blue, but it's not because we lost. We actually won the challenge, and thanks so much to our donors who helped us win that challenge. But out of just an act of collaboration and solidarity, I decided to paint my beard blue, and Nate also painted his red. So that picture in the middle is where you see we did a reveal to our staff in Louisville and Lexington, Nate and I did, on when we revealed our beards. So that's the moment where I revealed mine. You can see the fun reaction. So we had a lot of fun with that campaign, but more importantly, we raised a lot of money, and we're thankful to really all of our donors for supporting us. I also want to highlight our Adopt a Meal program and our donations for our meal program. You know, when we suspended that program, it really became a priority, as I said before, for us to make those meals still happen for our families. And thanks to restaurants and caterers and donors who help fund the program, and our staff themselves. Sometimes our staff themselves have personally prepared meals for our families. So we're just really grateful for the ability to continue that really important program. And thanks to everybody for helping with that. One thing that we never lose sight of, and I want to share with you, is the families that we serve. When we went into, I call it our lockdown, we never closed it down, but when we went into our lockdown, we were serving 26 families at that time. One of the very last families we checked in was the Prudent Family from Owensboro. And everything we do is for the families that we serve. All the support that you give is for the families that we serve. So we want to highlight the Prudent Family and hear from them. So we've got a short video we're going to play for you now highlighting the Prudent Family.
Well, I was 27 weeks and 4 days pregnant. Went into the OB/ED at Owensboro Health, and I wasn't feeling my baby move as much as he usually did. Throughout the testing, they noticed that I was low on fluid, and the baby wasn't moving as he should, and his heart rate wasn't as it should. And so they decided to do an emergency C-section, and afterwards they life-flighted him here to Norton Children's Hospital.
When we had got up here, or when we had got up here with him, then there was a lot more talk of it with the Norton employees is, have you guys found a place to stay, anything like that. At the time, we really didn't know of any place, but we had heard that Ronald McDonald had some openings.
The alternative of not being able to stay here would have been a lot more stressful to figure out. We'd either be at the hospital or traveling back and forth from Owensboro to here. I didn't expect all the things that were available here. Meals, laundry, staying here. I wasn't aware of what it was before we had our son. And it's amazing. It's a great organization, and we are just so thankful to have this opportunity.
Yes, very, very, very much so.
It's made us, I think, a lot more appreciative of home. We're just antsy to get back home with our son. But it's the helping, the generous giving that you all have provided that makes us want to give back to this organization, and even other ones that we hear about, that helps families like this that need that support during the difficult times.
One thing that's really been a plus for us is the availability of meals. Because with the coronavirus that's going on around, it's kind of jeopardizing for us to get out and risk anything at all. So it's a whole lot. That's one thing that we're very grateful for there. It's a very, very nice feeling to be here, honestly. We feel like you guys are like family to us, and you help us with all the circumstances that are going on in our life now. Being that we're a distance from home, it's so nice to have a place to stay that's safe. And like I said, folks that when we come in have a greeting smile for us, and it just makes us feel good overall. So.
You meet the basic needs of families that come in, and families that have an emergency situation like we do. I wasn't even packed. I had nothing ready. And to come here and have, toiletries, meals, a safe place, a nice, bathroom in the room where I could, get around easier after surgery like that. It's just been tremendous to have all of that. And just meeting those basic needs was a big thing there in the beginning and even now.
RMHC is more than just a house. To us, it's a family. And it always will be a family to us. It's more than just walls and doors and windows. The folks at RMHC treat us the way we feel they treat us the way that they want to be treated, with respect, and they try to meet his needs as best they possibly can, whatever need that may be, and that's worth a lot right there. You have done so much for us, and it just makes us feel really, really good. Really, just a very big thank you from us to you guys. We just make the best of each day and keep on smiling. So.
So my thanks to Tiffany and Martin Prudent for sharing their story. You know, it's a great reminder of why we do what we do. As I mentioned, the Prudents were one of the very last families we checked in, and they remain with us today. So their son Jerome is progressing. We're really glad to see that, and we know they're really grateful for what we've provided and through your support, what you're helping us provide here at the house. And they're also looking forward to going home when Jerome progresses to the point where they can. So, again, thanks to the Prudence for sharing their story. I want to share some of the protocols that we're putting in place or have put in place at the house to just make sure that that we are keeping everyone as safe and healthy as possible. So I mentioned before masks. We are requiring all of our guests to wear a mask at the house. Unless they're in their guest room, they do not need to wear it when they're in their guest room. The same is true of staff. Staff must wear masks anywhere in the house unless they're working alone in their office. So that mask protocol is very important in helping to slow the spread of COVID-19. We're also taking everyone's temperatures who's entering or staying at the house, and that includes family members, that includes staff. If we have to have vendors come in and repair something, we're taking their temperatures too. So anyone with a temperature of 99.4 or above will be asked to leave. That's actually a very low threshold, lower than the CDC or WHO suggestions, but we want to be very conservative here and truly do our part to everything we can to keep COVID-19 out of the house. And we've been successful so far in doing that. Everybody who comes into the house is entering via our first street entrance, which is our main entrance. Everyone who's leaving is leaving via our Chestnut Street entrance. And this is important because we want to encourage one-way traffic, and that really helps with the social distancing piece. So, you know, if people are entering and leaving through the same door, they by necessity have to be closer together. So that one-way traffic is important, and one of the social distancing pieces that we're doing. Another one of those key social distancing pieces is that we've closed our dining room and our other common areas. So families, when they're in the house, really are primarily confined to their guest room. And so really practicing that social distancing and something, again, we feel is very important. I've mentioned that our meal program has continued. We're grateful for that, but our protocols have changed. So we are giving meals to our families via single-serve, grab-and-go, prepackaged containers, and those families are taking those meals to their rooms and eating in their rooms. So we're very proud to continue the meal program, but we're doing it in a very safe way. And then among other things, we've obviously implemented significant cleaning and disinfecting protocols. We did that very early on. It continues daily here. I want to really give a shout out to our staff who is incredibly diligent in cleaning. And then our cleaning service has been just amazing in putting best practice protocols into place. So, you know, really we've got a pretty high level of confidence that all these things that we're doing are helping to keep COVID-19 out of the house. And then lastly, as part of our plan to start serving new families, we actually COVID-19 tested all of our staff who's been at the house and all of our families on June 4th. And I'm really happy to share that everyone tested negative there. So we're obviously really happy about that. So right before we had to shut nearly everything down. Didn't fully close down because we've been serving families, but no new guest families, no volunteers, only essential staff on site. We had just finished and opened up the biggest expansion in our organization's history. We grew from 36 to 56 guest rooms and did a wholesale renovation of our original building. And so in late February, we had a grand opening event. And I know some of you that have joined us today on Zoom were able to be at that grand opening event and have seen firsthand those renovations and our new space that we moved into, but many of you have not. And while nothing can be better than actually seeing the place firsthand, walking through our space and getting a tour that way, we want to do the next best thing. So we're going to give you a virtual tour now, and I'll be your guide as we go through the house. So we've taken a video tour, and we'll start that quick video tour now. So our entrance to the house remains where it has been for 36 years. That's 550 South First Street. So this is our front door, and this is our front foyer area, and now our front lobby area that people walk into. You can see it's been fully renovated from what it looked like previously. This is our front office area where our staff sits safely. You see the barriers there. And this is our first floor corridor in our new wing, what we call our south wing. So you can walk through this corridor, and as you make this turn, you enter our main kitchen area. And in this kitchen area, you see food that's always out for families. There's never a lack of food for our families at Ronald McDonald House, even during COVID-19. So there's individually packaged snacks that people can grab. And here you enter our commercial kitchen. And this is where our adopt-a-meal groups, under normal circumstances, prepare dinner and brunch on the weekends for our families. But we've been using this area to package the meals in those individually packaged containers. Our staff's done a great job. So under normal circumstances, we serve dinner buffet style using those buffet containers. And here you can see some of our great commercial cooking equipment that makes us really well equipped to serve dinner for lots of families. We can't wait to welcome those families into the house. You can see we've got menus, so families can see what our menus for dinners are for the next few weeks. And typically when families get their dinner, they can eat it in our dining room area, which you see here. Unfortunately, that area is closed now due to COVID-19, but we look forward to reopening that soon. One of the great features of this expansion is our indoor playroom, which you see here. Again, it's closed during COVID-19, but we look forward to reopening that soon and filling it with kids who will have just a great time playing on this equipment. So we're going to hop on our elevator now and get off on the 4th floor. And our 4th floor is a great big open area. And you don't see it in this picture, but we've got a great skylight. So it provides great, great natural light. This is a playroom for younger kids. This middle area is open for families. And then this area is an activity room for older kids. When it's open, again, common areas are closed. As we move down to the 3rd floor, the middle of the floor is common areas, and the perimeter are guest rooms. So you can see common areas here, which now are closed, but we'll reopen them soon. Each of our upper floors has its own kitchen. So families that are residing on these floors don't have to go all the way down to the 1st floor for a cup of coffee or a snack. We also offer refrigerator space and lockers for families to keep their own food if they have special dietary needs or just things they like to keep on hand for themselves. And again, these are on each of the upper floors, 2 through 4. This is a quiet room, a sitting room where a family member can come in and read a book or just sit quietly, meditate, or pray on their own. And this is one of our guest rooms. So our guest rooms are expanded. All of 56 guest rooms now are larger with 2 double beds and a fold out either chair or couch capacity for up to 6 family members. And all of our rooms now have a bathroom inside of them. And that's something our families really requested when we asked them for feedback when we expanded, and we've delivered on that. We've also got a great brand new outdoor play area. Again, it's closed for the time being, but we look forward to opening it soon, and it's handicap accessible, so kids can come in and play and have a great time outdoors. So we have both an outdoor and an indoor play area. And that concludes our virtual tour of the house. I thank our staff for putting together the video to help walk you through. And again, as soon as it's safe to do so, we look forward to restarting house tours. So if you've been to the house and seen it already, that's great. If you haven't, give us a call when we reopen, and we'd love to have you down for a tour. I'll mention one other thing on our virtual house tour. You didn't see it in the tour, but we've got a board room in our basement, and our vision for that room is that it's not just for our board to meet. Certainly we will when we finish meeting virtually here, hopefully in the near future, but we also want to welcome other groups in as well. So just keep that in mind. If you're part of a company or an outside group and are looking for meeting space, give us a call. Again, when we reopen, give us a call. We'd love to have the opportunity to host you down at the house. So I want to pivot now and share our 4-phase reopening plan. So, and by reopening, again, I'll reiterate, we never closed our doors, but this is our plan to start checking in new guest families and to slowly bring staff and volunteers back. So we entered into phase 1 last week, and in phase 1, we grow occupancy up to 25%. So late last week, we checked in several families, came a little short of that 25% occupancy number, but we were just thrilled to be able to check in new guest families after 3 months of not doing so. Prior to checking in, those families were and family members were COVID-19 tested and tested negative. We are limiting guests right now to the caregivers and any patients who are receiving outpatient care. So unfortunately, extended family members and siblings we're not allowing right now, just out of an abundance of caution. We continue as we have since mid-March with only mission essential staff on site, just a very few staff members who just make sure our families are well served. And we continue as we have since mid-March with no on-site volunteers. So we entered into phase 1 last week and we'll be in phase 1 for 2 weeks. And as long as we don't have any incidents of COVID-19 during those 2 weeks, in early July, we will enter into phase 2. Again, phase 2 begins in early July. We'll grow occupancy up to 40%. And that 40% number for us will be around 22 families. So up to 22 families will be serving during phase 2. Same protocols are in place. Family members will be tested beforehand. Guests limited to caregivers and patients. We're continuing with only mission essential staff on site and no on-site volunteers. One piece I will mention is that our phases, while the timeline for our phases are pretty well set in stone. Phase 1 will be 2 weeks. Phase 2 will be 2 weeks. I'll talk about phase 3 in a minute, but these protocols that are in place can be a little bit fluid. So just depending on COVID-19 outbreaks in our community and in the state, we may change some of our protocols, but these are the ones that we have in place right now that we really believe are in the best interest of our families and staff. So again, phase 2 will enter in early July and last 2 weeks until mid-July. If there's no COVID-19 cases in the first, in those 2 weeks, we move to phase 3. So phase 3, we see some additional changes. We'll grow occupancy up to 75%. So that could be 40 or more guest rooms that we have full during phase 3. Family members that are checked in will continue to be tested. Our guests at that time, we're going to continue to limit them to caregivers and patients. We are going to take a second look at that. We'd love to be able to check in siblings and other family members, and we will when it's safe to do so. But right now, our protocols for phase 3 aren't allowing for that. But we are going to slowly loosen our restrictions. So modify our meal program slightly, reopen our dining room and some of the other common areas. We're going to start bringing back other staff with restrictions. We won't bring everybody back all at once. We'll bring people back slowly, and for part of the time, they'll work on site part of the time and at home part of the time. This is also the phase 3, where we will bring back low-risk volunteers, and we're working on our plan for that right now. Laura Rubel, our amazing volunteer coordinator, is working on that plan now. We really can't wait to bring back volunteers, so phase 3 is a big milestone for us to be able to do that slowly. Though during phase 3, our volunteer meal program will remain suspended. So we will not implement that adopt a meal program quite yet. So phase 3 actually lasts 4 weeks. So our plan is to start in mid-July, and that will go until mid-August. And in mid-August, if there's no cases of COVID-19, we go into phase 4. So phase 4 is the closest that we'll see to what things were like before COVID-19. I think we can all agree things may never be exactly what things were like before COVID-19, but for us in phase 4, we'll have no occupancy restrictions, so we can occupy as many of our 56 guest rooms as needed. So that'll be a great thing for us. Our testing protocols we're still planning to have in place. We'll continue to have our return of staff. Again, we're going to do this slowly and safely. And then our other volunteers will return in manageable numbers. And again, Laura is working on what that plan looks like for phase 4 right now. And then we're thrilled that our Adopt a Meal program can return during phase 4 with manageable numbers of people. So we may need to limit the numbers of those Adopt a Meal group volunteers that come in. And again, that's something that we're working on. We're working on right now. So That's our four-phase reopening plan. I want to give a shout out to our staff and especially on the operations side of things. We had to put together a plan that was incredibly detailed and well thought out and submit to our global office for their approval to start serving new families. And so I want to thank Shelley and Jana and Kim and Rebecca and just everybody on site who helped put together that plan. It's really well thought out, and as we're in phase one now, we can't wait to move through the phases. But again, we're going to do so very safely, very safely. So want to shift gears now and just talk a little bit about how you can continue to support our families. So I think everybody on this call has been supportive of us in some way, shape, or form. And so we just want to make sure you know ways you can continue to be supportive. First is by donating. And the easiest way to do that is to go to our website and click on the Donate Now button. So, so because we've always continued to serve families, we never closed during COVID-19, and now we're starting to serve more families, those donations are really important to us. So are donating meals and supplies for meals. So we are continuing to provide meals to our families. Right now, that's really happening via a combination of donations from our donors, where you can go out and buy meals primarily from restaurants and caterers. We do have restaurants and caterers that are donating meals to us, so those are great too. And then just using supplies we have on hand, our staff is preparing some of the meals for our families too. So really all of those ways are how we're continuing our meal program now. And I did see a question chatted in about how that meal program is happening. So again, thanks to everybody for helping that. We've been really fortunate not to have to cancel any of our fundraising events. We know a lot of nonprofits have. We were really fortunate that we had held our annual Red Tie Gala, which is our largest annual fundraiser, in late February. So when things kind of shut down in our communities beginning in mid-March, we had already had that event, and our golf event had been scheduled for late July. So we've been fortunate, and our golf event is going on as planned with some social distancing requirements. For example, we are going to hold the event on July 27th, but rather than having a shotgun start where all teams show up at the same time and start at the same time, we're having tee times throughout the day. So we're not having a large gathering before or after the event. So we're making some modifications to make sure that we're being safe and socially distanced. But our golf tournament is on for July 27th, as is our Sporting Clays event for October 9th. So best way to learn about those events is by going to our website, and we'd love to have you participate in either or both of those events. A great way to keep updated on what's going on at the house and things that are upcoming is signing up for our e-newsletter and also following us on social media. So I encourage you to do any of those things. So we're going to move into our question and answer phase right now. We did have several people who posed some questions, sent us some questions beforehand. So I'm going to address those first. And then with help from staff, we'll address any other questions that are being chatted in. So someone had asked when we're going to be able to start serving families of children that have received spinal cord injuries and are getting spinal cord treatment. I'm really thrilled to say that we have actually checked in our first family from that amazing spinal cord injury rehab program at the Kozer Charity Center for Pediatric Neuro Recovery, Dr. Andrea Bierman and her amazing team there. So we've actually checked in our first family and look forward to checking in more of those Fraser families in phases 2, 3, and 4 of our reopening. Someone else was asking, will siblings be allowed at some point in the near future? And the best answer I can give right now is we hope so. You know, our tagline, and you can see it on the screen in the bottom right-hand corner, is keeping families close. And our vision for that is we want to keep all families close and all family members close. And so with our reopening plan, we know we're doing it with restrictions right now. Extended family members and siblings can't stay with us. And we really hate that because we want to keep the entire family close. So know that that's something that we're looking at very closely. And as soon as we're able to, we're going to check in, be able to check in siblings and extended family members. I can't put a date on that yet, but know that's a priority of ours to do that. And we want to keep that entire family intact as soon as we're able to do so. Other questions have come in related to just safety in our downtown area, with the house being located downtown and the protests that have been going on for the last few weeks. And so we're obviously closely monitoring that situation. You know, as things stand right now, there's still protests on a daily and nightly basis. They've been pretty small and very peaceful lately. We did have one incident a few weeks ago where some graffiti was sprayed on the house. It was something that was very minor, and we eradicated that very quickly. Obviously, safety and security of the family staying at the house and our staff is of the utmost importance. We're really closely monitoring the situations. We have a security presence every night at the house, and we have the ability at any time to increase that security presence. So we also have ongoing and very proactive dialogue with law enforcement and other community leaders. And when we get wind that there may be additional protests or concerns that things may not stay peaceful, we have a plan in place to increase our security presence and some protocols in place to be able to keep our families safe and really lock down our facility for the safety of everyone. So again, we'll closely monitor this. You know, if safety and security is a concern as we go into these future phases of checking in new families, bringing staff and volunteers back, we can adapt as needed, and we will adapt as needed. So with that, I'm going to ask Danny Harper on our development team, and Danny's with us today, and she's been monitoring the chat box on any additional questions that have come in. So Danny, fire away, and I'll answer as many as I can as long as time permits.
Yeah, our first question, can you hear me, Hal?
I can, yes.
First question is about our boardroom, and some of it has already been answered in the chat. Someone wants to know if there is a fee for people to utilize our boardroom.
So there's not a fee to utilize our boardroom. We want to offer that just as a service to our community, and we look forward to welcoming groups there. I think the one thing we would ask if you bring groups in is that we'd love the opportunity to give that group a tour of the house and talk a little bit about what we do, but we're not charging. The boardroom does have AV equipment and conference call capabilities. So you know, we think it's going to be a great resource as soon as we can open it up to outside groups.
Next question. Someone asked a question about meals, but I feel like you answered that towards the end of the presentation. But if you feel like that question wasn't answered, go ahead and type that back in the chat. Another question that came through was, if someone has a high temperature, are they being tested for COVID or asked to leave? How will you know if that person has COVID, if they've been in the house?
So if somebody has that high temperature, yes, they are asked to leave the house. We will ask them to get COVID tested, but we have no jurisdiction to require them to get tested. We'll strongly encourage them, and we'll inform, you know, our hospital partners about that. But I'll answer it this way: we're going to do everything in our power to get that person tested, including access to testing. Ultimately, we don't necessarily have jurisdiction to physically require somebody to get tested, but generally we feel like somebody would. If somebody's running a temperature, we believe they would want to know if they have the virus and would be very open to get tested, and we'll do everything we can to help with access to that testing.
Okay, just a reminder to everyone, at the bottom of your screen there's a chat button. If you'd like to submit any questions, you can type them in there. I've got one final question, unless some come through after this. Someone wants to know if there is shower chair equipment for the bathrooms in our rooms.
So as part of our expansion, we're really thrilled that we have numerous handicap accessible roll-in showers that do have seating along with them. And so we know one of our really key medical partners is Fraser Rehab and the Kozer Charity Center for Pediatric Neuro Recovery, part of University of Louisville, and Dr. Andrea Bierman, who I think has joined us this morning. And thank you, Dr. Bierman, for joining us. You're a great partner. So we really took a lot of factors into play when we planned this expansion. One is the wonderful and growing program that you have there. And so we have numerous roll-in showers that do have the sit-down chairs that go along with them. So we already have that equipment, and Dr. Bierman, I'll share with share with you, if you're hearing from any of your families that there's any equipment at the house that is lacking, please let us know, and we'll get them whatever they need. And you're great partners, and we want to do everything we can to best serve the families and the children that you're serving at this amazing world-renowned program at Fraser.
That was the last question. Dr. Bierman says, thanks, Hal. But that's the last question that we had in the chat.
Okay. Well, again, we want to end where we started with just a big thank you. Thank you for taking your valuable time to join us today. Thank you for the support that you give. I can't tell you how important it is, especially over the last 3 months. We have been really blessed with amazing support from our community, from you who've joined us on this Zoom call, and we need that to continue, especially as we start serving more and more families, which we're really grateful for. We look forward to things getting back as close to what the old normal was. We don't know exactly what that looks like, but we know we're going to be welcoming staff back and volunteers back and opening the house to tours in the not too distant future. So we really look forward to that. So thank you. We couldn't do what we do without you. And lastly, I want to share some contact information. If you have further questions, these are great ways to learn. You see our web address there if you want to donate. For our upcoming events, the clays and golf tournaments, you can contact Sarah, and Sarah's on this call today. For our meal donations, Grace Hargraves is our wonderful meal and activities coordinator, so you can contact Grace if you want to help support our meal program. Our volunteer program is, again, run by the wonderful Laura Rubel. You've got Laura's contact information there. And then also, if you're not already signed up for our e-newsletter, there's the web address to go to sign up, or you can simply scan that QR code that you see there on your screen. With that said, we are going to let you get on with the rest of your day. I hope you found this informative. Again, thanks for spending the time, and please keep in touch with us, and we will keep in touch with you as well. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.